Yo, what's going on? It is 1 p.m. here in Crystal Lake, Illinois. That means it's time for another live stream. Today is, what is today? Today is Monday, December 15th, 2025. And the title for today's live stream is Back at It. Because I think some of you guys know what I'm racing next. I wasn't sure if I was going to announce it or make it a surprise, but I think because of the way you have to sign up for this race, I don't think you can really make it a surprise. And I think some of you guys know anyway. But we'll talk all about that. My next race, which is in like 8 weeks, 9 weeks, something like that. But I'm not trying to like set another marathon PR. So don't worry about that. It's a very different kind of race. We'll get into it. But first, let's say hi to everyone listening on the audio only version on the podcast. Hopefully you guys are staying warm today. It's crazy. It's a feels like in the negatives all morning. I think now it's warming up. It's like feels like of 2 degrees outside. I've been holding off on the run until after live stream today because I think it's going to be maybe feels like of 3 Fahrenheit for the run. Like 23 degrees actual temperature. So it shouldn't be too bad. But hopefully wherever you are, I mean, maybe by now it'll have warmed up, but hopefully wherever you are, you're safe. And for everyone else watching this later but not live, welcome to the #1 drive time radio show for runners. And I hope your dishwashing is going well tonight as you are watching this. All right, who we got in the chat? We got Londering. Says, yo, everyone. I got a recital, so I missed live, but I finally got sub 90 half marathon, 89:40, buzzing. Congratulations. You got a recital. What instrument are you playing? I'm assuming by recital you mean like a musical instrument recital. My guess is going to be piano. M. Lukens is watching from the dentist. Are you going to have this on at like when you're in the chair, or are you just for the waiting room? Oh my goodness. JC says Dakota Popane came to Dallas and won the half marathon at 1:12. Not sure if she was truly racing though. I read she was here as an ambassador. Yeah, I do feel like she was there as an ambassador for the race. So I don't know if it was. It's not something that I don't think she was training for. But here's the thing. This is what this I've been starting to think about this ever since Thanksgiving, when I've been trying really hard to win a frozen turkey by winning my age group. Or at least, doing decently at the turkey trot. But there's so many young, fast kids there. But not that what I'm about to propose or suggest would change in any way the Wallert High School, Dubuque, Iowa turkey trot 2.5 mile or 5 mile race. But over this holiday, more than any other holiday for Thanksgiving, I've seen more professional runners being like, haha, it's so funny. Pro runner goes into a local 5K and kind of takes it seriously. I don't think that's funny. I feel like turkey trots is the non-elite time to shine. It's our time to be able to flex on regular people. You know what I mean? When the pros come in and then flex on us non-elites, that's not fun. That's us every day. So I think that I'm not saying they should be prohibited from entering, but I feel like unless you're going to roll up in a costume or really jog it and run like a regular person's pace, I feel like a pro runner shouldn't be dropping like a 15-minute 5K on turkey trot. That's my hot take. That's our day. That's the non-elite day. You guys get 364 days a year. Non-elites get 1 day. Maybe we get 2 days, like a New Year's Day race. But a New Year's Day race, if you're a pro, go for it. But anyway, that is my kind of serious hot take. All right. Yeah, and see, Brian Alakanalao says, Molly Seidel at least had the. I'm adding words. Brian said Molly Seidel wore turkey costumes to the turkey trot, and I feel like that's great. And I feel like at least she had the decency to do that, And I guess Spencer also won a 5K one time wearing a costume as well, and that's fine. That's fine too. I mean, he's not a pro, so he can go. He should go hammer it out. That's his day, Spencer Brown, athlete special. That's what I'm saying. Yeah. Senior Grandmaster Runner Dan says, unless there's money on the line. Okay, if there's money on the line, then sure. Yeah, they should go for it. But then it's no longer like, like the Waller Catholic High School fundraiser / turkey trot is not gonna have prize money. You know what I mean? They give out turkeys, but it's not prize money. So yeah. Rich Wilson says all rules are off in Boulder though. Yeah, I mean, I get Boulder is a weird place, They do what you want in Boulder, I guess. I'm not going to judge anyone what they do in Boulder. Mark Johnson wants to get a PR belt for my first sub 25K at 1926, blazing fast. Congratulations. He says there is life after 50. Oh, that's what I like to hear. That's what I like to hear. Isaac Johnson got a 9-minute PR at the Super Cold Dallas Marathon at 3:13. Excellent work. That's speedy. I thought Dallas was a hilly course too, so that's good work. Did you guys see any footage from the Honolulu Marathon, guys? It looked like what do they call it? It's not called like the Aloha Mile, but there's a fun name for it. There's a mile race that the pros do. That day looked awesome. The following day, though, it was dark and stormy in Honolulu for the marathon. It looked terrible. I've seen some people's footage from it. People seem to have done a good job, but the weather was not participating, which I was like not expecting for Hawaii. All right. Let's keep scrolling down. Yeah, and T.O. Daniel Stray says there was a new American record for the women's road mile. Yeah, that's crazy. Sinclair Johnson, she keeps surprising. She's a fighter, You're always like, I don't know, is she gonna do it? And then she just comes out and scrapes it out. She gets it. She gets it done. And Vanessa wants to know, are the turkey prizes too late on Thanksgiving Day? Are they fully frozen or defrosted? They are fully frozen. They let you know ahead of time that this is for a frozen turkey. You're not going to be able to take this home and eat it the same day. Yeah. And Tim Lofton says, in Dallas, it's undulating here and there, and there's one big hill approaching mile 20. That's the worst spot. LA does the same thing. Although LA is a little bit more than undulating before you get there, but at right around mile 20, LA is real tough. Did I tell you guys I was having a conversation with Billy Yang about LA Marathon and how it's hilly? And he was like, it is it? And I was like, yeah. He's like, what part is hilly? And I'm like, well, I think the last time you ran it, Billy, it finished in Santa Monica. I think I said Santa Barbara, or maybe I said Malibu. He's like, you mean Santa Monica? I was like, yeah. Anyway, I'm like, they changed the finish. So it no longer has the downhill finish. But like right around mile 20, you run uphill like under the highway for a really long time. There's not a lot of crowd support. It smells like highway. And it's just a long and uphill. And then you turn underneath one highway. And then there's more hill. And then it's like an out and back. From there, that's rolling. And he's like, that's hilly? I'm like, yes, that's hilly for a road marathon. He had like no idea. He's like, oh, that's considered hilly. Yeah. Let's see. We had one more bell. Steve Z says, "Co, a little late, but can I get a bell ring for the Clearwater Turkey Trot PR of 25:10?" Yes, absolutely, Steve. Great job. Nice work. And Rich says, I hear it rained all day. I heard it rained all day as well. Which I didn't know it like rained at night. I thought Hawaii was more of it rains every afternoon when the humidity like builds and builds and builds. I thought that was that kind of place. I don't know. And Daniel Estrella said it's the Merry Mile. That's correct. That's right. In Hawaii, they have the Merry Mile. Yeah, I really wish that they would change the finish of the LA Marathon back to how it was. I understand, or I've been told the reasons why they won't, but if it had a downhill finish, I'd be back. But with the finish as it is, and I know it's changed since I've done it too. But yeah, I think it needs the end of that race just kind of drops off. Starts out so exciting, and then it just drops off, or doesn't drop off, you know. All right, today we're gonna do a lot of shoe weighing because we didn't get to it last time. We went through a lot of shoes, so I've got 1, 2, 3. I got 5 different shoes I want to add to the shoe sheet today. 2 that I haven't shown you yet, but I picked up while I was at TRE. I was at TRE for like 90 minutes, guys, and I managed to pick up, I think, two pairs of shoes. That's in addition to the one. I only got 1 pair of shoes. No, I got 1 pair of shoes, then I got 2 pairs of shoes. Okay, so I didn't get that many. All right, not bad, not bad. I thought it was just picking up too many shoes on accident while I was there. Okay, yeah, let's get into it. Let's start with the shoes. But let me tell you about the race. So the race that I'm going to be getting ready for. You guys, I think you guys know. Maybe I've been really too quiet about it, but I've been wanting to run Black Canyon for a really long time. And last year, at some point, it's been months. I've been signed up for this race for months. And I was looking at the calendar one day and I'm like, no one has me doing anything in March or April this year. So I can go run whatever I want. So I signed up for Black Canyon. I was like, I don't know, I'll fit it into the calendar somehow. So we're doing it. It's Valentine's Day weekend, I'm pretty sure. I think that's 8 weeks from today. Is that 8 weeks from today? 9 weeks from today? Hopefully it's 9 weeks from today. But yeah, so we're doing Black Canyon. So so I'm gonna count the Valencia Marathon block as just a high mileage aerobic block. Eric says, "Are you doing the 100K?" I'm gonna try. I'm gonna try for it. Yeah, Daniel Stray says, "Doing the 100K, right?" Yes. Yeah. I mean, I've already done 50Ks. I've done 2 of them, and then I did an FKT, which was a little short of 50K. Although I guess technically the first 50K I did, I accidentally cut the course. There's like a little loop that I didn't do, so I cut off a little bit. So I guess I've only really done 1. But and I told the race director that I did that. They didn't DQ me. They're like, that's fine, because I came in like middle of the pack. So like it's not like I wasn't in contention for anything. So they were like, whatever, it's cool. We're not gonna ding you for that. It was an honest mistake. And so yeah, I'm gonna do Black Canyon 100K. I love that region of the country. That's one of the parts of the country where I started doing trail running, and also where I decided I didn't like trail running as well. Because one time I got out there in the early morning and it was kind of wet out, and I didn't have a headlamp, and I got lost, and I lost cell reception, and things got gnarly, and I was like, I'm gonna stop trail running for a little while. But that's all that same part of the country. So anyway, I like running down there. And my in-laws are going to be wintering in Phoenix again, so we'll have kind of a place to stay as a home base and then drive up from there. So, yeah. Rich Wilson says, then you can enter the state's lottery if you do Black Canyon. I have to finish in the cutoff time, which is my goal, to finish in the cutoff time. So I think the cutoff time for the 100K is 17 hours, maybe 16 hours. I'm thinking that I think 14 is a good goal for me. 16 is kind of like, I just want to make it 16. Not that I want to run Western States, but I feel like that's a good benchmark for me for doing the 100K. Frank says you could do a shakeout for Mesa that same weekend too. I suppose it's always the same weekend, right? Is it always the same weekend? I feel like it is. Yeah. Frank says, do I need crew? I'm not planning on bringing crew. My wife's going to come out, and she's like, do you need people there? And I was like, I don't really know. I think some people will have people there, but I think I'm just going to go out there by myself. So that's kind of the plan. Post call with Paul says, I jumped from 50K to 100K, and I wish I did a 50 miler in between, but so worth it when it was all done. I mean, once you've done the 50 miler, I know 10 miles is 20% more. It's not a substantial amount more, but like once you're at 50, you might as well just get to 60 or 62 or however far it is. Mark John says it'll be a good test for the Evo SL ATR. I think I'm going to go with something a little bit more rugged than the Evo SL ATR. So I have the Evo SL ATR with me as one of the shoes that we need to weigh today. Although I've run in it twice. I think I've got about 7 miles in it so far. But these lugs, I mean, this is kind of like Novoblast TR territory, right? So it's basically like the same road shoe, just like a little bit of lugs on it. These are, I think they're 1.5 millimeter lugs, so they're not substantial. There is an Evo Agravic that's coming out as well, which Adidas and Adidas Terrex are like, they might as well be separate companies. Because we learned so much about the Evo SL ATR. They told us nothing about the Evo Agravic that's going to actually have treads more like this, which is the other shoe that I got from Adidas, which is the Agravic Speed Ultra 2. So that the Evo Agravic or Agravic Evo is going to have lugs that look more like this. The Evo SL ATR has a water repellent upper and has 1.5 millimeter lugs. So you've got like, it's Adidas. So it's like, think about like, you've got like the RC 2.0, the Adios Takumi Sen, then Adios Pro. Like you've got like every 2 millimeters of stack height, there's a different shoe. Like they're taking that same approach with outsoles with the Evo SL, it seems. Eric says, you got it. Eric says, if I can make it out of make the cutoff at Black Canyon, you can easily do that. I mean, I don't know. We'll see. I just don't. The positive thing is two things. One is coming out of Valencia. I feel good. I feel really good right now. Body's feeling good. Granted, I've only run about like 5 miles at a time the last 3 days. But I'm feeling really nice. So recovery is going well. Number two, I felt like of all the things that didn't quite go my way in Valencia, the thing that I felt great about was my aerobic strength. So I feel like aerobically, I may have overdone it in the last block in terms of like how to allocate my time and training. But the aerobic work won't go to waste because I'm just going to use that aerobicness at Black Canyon, Yeah, Jody Beck says, if for 100K, you better get those back-to-back long runs started. Yeah, I'm not a huge fan of the back-to-back long runs. That actually seems kind of daunting, and I never did that for my 50K training. So I'm a little bit nervous about that, but I don't know. We'll see. And Rabbi Benjamin David says, I'm finally pulling together a Hanukkah 8K fun run for our community this weekend. That sounds like fun. Good luck to you guys. Hope the event goes well. Nice. Now, Andrew in Indianapolis says, if only the Evo SL ATRs were available in the U.S. I don't understand what's happening with that. Yeah, Rich Not Dick says the same thing. USA runners are languishing waiting for the Evo SL ATR release. So, like, I spoke with my person, the PR person in Texas about it. And she was like, yeah, these come out like December 3rd, which was like the next day. After like I had first made like I posted some stories about it. And I was like, yeah, it's coming soon. And then I thought I had read a press release saying that's going to be available in the Adidas Runners app and then online. And then like a week later, when I get back from Valencia, people are like, hey, where do we find this? And I'm like, I don't know, a Runners app and online? And they're like, no. So I'm wondering if it's like an Adios situation where like the Adios 9 came out, looked gorgeous, a running warehouse had it for like a minute, and then it was gone, and it's not coming back. I don't know. I don't know that is there a big demand for this kind of shoe in Europe? I feel like in Europe they'd be like, what is this? Just give me the trail version or the road version is, like I don't I don't know. It's crazy. It's crazy. Daniel wants to know how's the waterproof upper on the ATRs if you've gotten to test it already. I got to run through a stream with them. And I was going to take them through the snow today, but then I realized I might have to test some other shoes. I've got a backlog of shoes, which we'll go over in a minute, but that I need to start testing. So I don't know if I will or not. But as far as the water repellentness, the water that got in the shoe got in through the ankle. It didn't come in through here. That was fine. Some might have gotten in through kind of like where the tongue is, but up here was great. And then to the extent that my feet got wet, they did dry off pretty quickly. Post call with Paul says, do you have a goal long run distance, time, or elevation you're trying to hit before the race? I don't know. I have no idea. I mean, I feel like I just did a pretty hard 26-mile run. But it's a little bit different than ultramarathon training. I'm just going to focus on a lot of weekly mileage, and I'm not going to worry as much about like doing like a 30-mile run on Saturday and then a 20-mile run on Sunday. Maybe that's very foolish of me. But I'm trying to look at the 100K as a series of like, and I need to measure out how far the aid stations are, but like a series of like 8-mile runs, And so like being able to run and eat and recover fast and eat and run, maybe not in that order, is kind of like what I'm thinking about doing. And so, yeah, I think it's going to be a lot of easy long runs, a lot of not marathon effort miles, but just some up tempo steady stuff. So just to help get through the mileage a little bit faster, but also to just put a little bit of stimulus on the body, so it's not just easy cruising the whole time. But yeah. My meniscus hurts to start buying that Coke now and open it to let it go flat. Johnny Dodgen says, the Evo SL Agravic, apparently shortly after the Terex Agravic Speed Ultra and the Agravic TT, is a real head scratcher. You think Adidas and Terex would chat more in the Canteen line. So if you've been to Adidas headquarters, they do like have common eating spaces, but Adidas and Terex have very different buildings that they're in. So like they're very separate. I consider them frequently, like, I'm surprised that I was given Terex stuff on this trip because it was like an Adidas trip. And like when I was at the 5K run, I went, and the video, I just submitted it to Adidas so they could approve it. But I made a video about TRE, and like I went to an evening 5K run in San Antonio, and like I met people that were there with Adidas Terex that I had no idea were there at all. Like Tommy Runs was there with Adidas Terex, Maddie Runs was there with Adidas Terex, Jeff Pelletier and Audrey Lafreniere. I think I said that right. I think I've said it wrong every time I've tried to say it before. My apologies, Audrey. They were all there with Adidas Terex, and like we never interacted except like on accident, So, but the other time is when I went on a trip with Adidas Eyewear. That's the time I went to the Dolomites. And like now, Adidas eyewear is a very separate entity entirely. It's a whole nother category of separateness because a lot of the brands with eyewear, they're all made in the same one factory. It's like the foothills of the Dolomites. And the brand name just gets licensed out. And like when Adidas eyewear tried to reach out to Adidas Terex to supply gear for the trip for Adidas eyewear in the Dolomites, like they were super reluctant to do it. I think they made Adidas Terex made Adidas eyewear. They made it available to us, but like Adidas eyewear had to buy it at full retail from Adidas Terex. So it's weird, the way that entities work. So it's very possible, like maybe these things were being worked on at the same time, and the brands didn't know. I don't know. I wouldn't want to say they had no idea, but that'd be kind of my guess. Uh, Mark Johnson wants to know how long do you give yourself to recover after a full marathon? Normally, if I didn't have Black Canyon coming up, I'd probably take next week pretty easy. I'm still pretty much going to take next week pretty easy. And then after like 2 weeks, I'm kind of ready to go again. Is how I normally do it. And then it just depends on whatever I have next. That will dictate like how quickly or how deliberately do I have to move to the next training block, you know? Cobalt Blue wants to know, have you heard that Adidas Run Club is pausing in North America for 2026? I did hear that news. Now, I was with Jesse Zappo, who is in charge of Adidas Runners New York. And like, obviously she didn't mention it while I was with her in Texas, but I've been meaning to reach out, make sure she's doing okay. Because I don't know exactly what that means for her and the other Adidas Runners people that I've met. But I did read that the Adidas Runners and Atlanta Track Club collaboration is still going forward, but I feel like that's it for North America. Everything else is kind of getting shut down, which to me kind of makes a lot of sense, because the trend for a long time has been to do away with those, and instead brands have been investing in more like organically into local run clubs. So like Nike did it, but with different reasons a long time ago. But like Adidas still had it a little bit. Asics still has their front runners. Mizuno kind of still has their midnight runners. But like all these groups, they really only exist in Europe. And in the US, no one like does any of these things. So like it was always surprising to me that they still had it at all. But yeah. Senior Grandmaster Runner Dan wants to know, what's the altitude gain in Black Canyon? Let's see. Eric has it. It's in the back half, right? Because it's mostly downhill the first half, and then there's a couple of big climbs. But Eric says it's about 6,000 feet, and it's tricky micro stuff, no giant climbs. I have a feeling the tricky part about Black Canyon is that it's going to be hard to stay in rhythm, because there'll be like riverbeds that you're like going down and up. And I just have a feeling it's going to be hard to stay smooth on some of that terrain. But I don't think anything is going to be like challenging my trail technical capabilities. It's just going to be about being able to like push through the 100Ks for me, I think. Run Tommy 123 says, I like to consider myself a somewhat connected runner, but the one Adidas Run Club event I went to in Boston 2024 was very weird. I really didn't understand what was going on. Yeah, all the ones that I've went to that were big were in Europe or had Europeans come over, and so it always kind of it was always, I was never sure. I'm like, do you work here, or what are you? Who works here and who's here because they came to the event? Like, I never really understood that. I don't understand that when ASICS front runners get together either. I'm like, did you come because someone told you about this event and you came? Like, are you a member of the public, or do you work for front runners? Or are you like a, what are the Brooks ambassadors called? Are you one of those? Is that what's going on? Like, so I don't, so everything kind of shifted to like ambassador programs and stuff now. So I think it's, yeah, it's just a little different. Eric says, for a dry year, Black Canyon is a piece of cake at the crossings. For a wet year, those water crossings get interesting. I've seen, I think, every video on Black Canyon now at this point. And some of the years, those water crossings, there's a lot of water to cross. You're swimming. And it's maybe not swimming, but yeah. So it'll be fun. It'll be fun. But like, I'm coming to terms with the idea that I don't think mathematically that there's any way that I won't be finishing several hours into darkness, which is a little bit discouraging. But I'm just gonna have to deal with that. I don't like running in the dark. All right, Frank's ready for the spreadsheet. Okay, let's get the spreadsheet up on here. Okay. All right, let's start with. Oh boy, this spreadsheet is getting long, guys. We got to clear out the color, reset. All right, we got Adidas, Evo, SL, ATR. I got 7 miles on it. Right shoe 9. Oh boy, what do we call it? Road, trail. Do we call it gravel? What do we call this, guys? What's the type of shoe is this? I don't want to write the word gravel in there. But hybrid? I don't like hybrid either. Yeah, Martha suggested hybrid, but I don't know. Road to trail? Unicorn? We'll call it mixed. Let's say mix. For literal lack of a better term. Okay. I don't remember what they told me this thing was going to weigh. But the group that I was with, so this one came in at 9.3 ounces and 264 grams for the Evo SL ATR. So the group that I was with, winter shoe. That's an interesting one to call it. I like that. A tweener. I like that. Too. Yeah, Johnny says we'll call it gravel. We're all gonna have to embrace it. Okay, we'll call it gravel. Put it in there. I'm not gonna take the E out though, like the way Solomon does sometimes on their shoes. So Solomon is so confusing. The foams have different names than what they call it on the spec sheet. Sometimes, like what's printed on the back of the shoe is different what's on the spec sheet. And then sometimes with gravel, like I still have this towel downstairs. Gravel is sometimes spelled out Garvel, but on the shoes it's always GRVL, no vowels. You know? So I don't know what's going on. All right. Might as well get to this one next. The Agravic Speed Ultra 2. Now, someone was mentioning that apparently the weights are off compared to what they are claimed to be versus what they're supposed to be. Yeah, I don't know. Mine is a size... should we put Adidas Terex to emphasize the differences? Agravic Speed Ultra 2. 0 mile, right, size 9, and trail. Let's make sure, confirm it's a size 9. Yeah, US Men's size 9. What is it supposed to be? Does anyone know? I don't think they gave me a spec sheet. Oh, Shannon's here. Yeah, so mine came in for my size 9. Came in at 9.6 ounces and 272 grams. So let's take a look at this thing. The first one I enjoyed the first one, but I just couldn't run in it. There was something in the arch that caused chafing, which for a shoe you're supposed to run in for a very long time didn't really work out well for me. Um, so I couldn't run very long in that one. But what I liked about it, which seems to be, and I guess I should have gotten the old one out to compare, but this one so far looks like this pinch underneath the arch, which I love because then it means that the shoe is really nice and bendable, even though there's rigid elements in it. It's nice and bendable, but it's also very agile when it is like tucked in underneath the arch. I like that a lot in my shoes. Um, but there's still multi-directional lugs for whether you're braking going downhill or climbing going uphill. So a lot of stuff. Eric says though that the throat on the shoe is so narrow. I had the same issue just trying it on. All right, well we'll have to see. We'll I got lots of long runs coming up, so we'll put in a long run test on this guy. Johnny Dodgen said one of the reps for a Gravic said that it is short for anti-gravity. And Johnny says I lived through the first iteration completely unaware. I mean, a Gravic has been around for a long time. Before Lightstrike Pro was in a Gravic. Like that was a word that I had a hard time pronouncing for years. Some of my first Adidas trail shoes were Agravics. There's always it's like a Gravic on trails is like Adios or Adizero on roads. So it's just one of those words that gets put into a lot of shoe names. But yeah, I mean if the some of the copy that I've read about this shoe is that like they've changed the upper so that it's less overlays. Even though look, there's a lot of overlays happening right here. But there's supposed to be less stuff, so that way it's more comfortable and less chafing for a longer run. So as long as the arch works for me, I think this could be a really nice long run trail cruiser. I mean, what's interesting to me is like I feel like this tread pattern is pretty aggressive from a road person's perspective. But I was looking at the Running Warehouse thing on this, and they were like, "This is for like fire trails." I was like, "What? Really?" I feel like it could handle a little bit more than that. I feel like if people can wear this in UTMB, I feel like it could do a little bit more than fire trails, but I don't know. All right. Let's get to the next shoe for today. I'll save that one for last. This is the shoe that I was thinking about running in today. And I was going to run on the roads with it. I showed it to you guys last time. This is the Ilios 2 from 361. Which for the longest time, I did not know that 361 was a Chinese brand. I just had no idea. But yeah. Man, so much off-gassing on this one. But yeah. Oh, I like the weight on this one. All right, well, let's get this sheet back up. We got 361 Ilios 2 0 miles right, size 9 road. Okay, all these shoes are coming in right around the same weight today, coincidentally. This one is coming in at the same weight, same exact weight as the Evo SL ATR. 9.3 ounces and 264 grams. All right. Cosmic Pineapple Michael was hoping for sub 9. It's not quite. Franklin Hood is saying that midlife runner Andrew Posa was saying that it's close to a Nova Blast. Really? Is he the one that said though that like the Tier Maverick was like a Nova Blast as well? Someone else was telling me that. I don't think it was Andrew. Maybe it was Andrew. And I was just like, I also like the Tier Maverick, but I think that we should temper some of our comparisons. So we'll see. All right. Next shoe that I want to show you guys. Well, I showed this to you guys. This Merrill shoe, which I think is quite gorgeous, which is not something I'd ever thought I'd ever say about a Merrill shoe. I was introduced to Merrill by my brother-in-law, who like loved their hiking shoes, and I think they make those like water hiking shoes too, right? Don't they make? Doesn't Merrill make those? He lives in those, and they smell like crazy. But or he used to anyway. Then he got remarried, and all of a sudden those shoes disappeared. I just realized. All right, so I gotta figure out what the name of this shoe is, though. I forgot. Oh, I have the box right here. This is the Pro Morph. Oh, what a weird name. Okay. We got Merrill Pro Morph 0, right, 9, and Trail. This is the other shoe that I was thinking about running in today, depending on what I was gonna run on. Now, I was gonna go run on the bike trail. But I don't know if that's going to be cleared, if that's going to be snowy and annoying to run on, or if it's going to be like running on road. So that's the hard thing. So maybe I'll bring both of these shoes out, and then we'll just, depending on what I see, then we'll make a decision. I don't know. Oh, this one's a little heavier, but it's a chunkier shoe. The outsole just seems like it's super dense, but it's 9.8 ounces and 278 grams, so a little bit chunkier of a shoe. Yeah. I do feel like it's the most like stylish Merrill shoe that I've seen in a really long time. Eric says, "Is that a gravel shoe? Is the Pro Morph a gravel shoe? Is that what we should call it? Should I not call it a trail shoe? The lugs are kind of tightly packed and not trailish. What do you guys think? Is that what it needs to go on to? Oh yeah, size 9. Is it? Are we calling it gravel? We'll call it gravel. Okay. Guys, I gotta tell you though, gravel shoes are kind of my favorite kind of trail shoe right now. I feel like most trail shoes are more than what I need, and I mean, I think even within the gravel diaspora, I think there's a range of shoes, if you want to put it that way. Some are like trail shoes that are like the lugs have been toned down a little bit. Some are road shoes that have like Evo SL 1.5 millimeter lugs on it. But in the middle, I feel like there are some shoes that I'm like, this shoe can really do a lot of is really like rugged for a road shoe, but still has road manners. I don't know. Eric says, these ATR gravel things are really hard to classify. It is a spectrum, a diaspora. Cosmopolitan Michael wants to know if there are gravel half and full marathons. Well, I think technically Light at the End of the Tunnel would be a gravel marathon. I think 24 of the miles or so of that race are on like Fire Road, Frank says, the next time I get trail-ish shoes, I think I'll go for gravel shoes. I need shoes for Jeep trails. Yeah. I mean, a lot of what I'm running is basically that. There's some times where I'm running like in the woods, where I'm running. But even then, it's not crazy, I'm not scrambling. There's no scree where I live, So. Yeah, Eric says that the Solomon gravel shoes are quite good, I'll admit. I got the Aeroblaze 3 TR, and I'm impressed. Not as chunky as the Aero Glide 3. Which is the one that I like? I like this one, Aeroblaze 3 gravel. This one, I ran in 6 inches of snow in my trails on this one, and it was great. Like this one I like a lot. And I do think that they are. I don't know. There's a lot of rubber on this outsole, but I do feel like they are tweaking this rubber, this Energy Evo foam, when they put it into the gravel, because it feels different than just the regular Blaze. So, yeah. Matt LeGrand says, I've always run trails in road shoes. I probably run trails about 90% of the time. I've been doing that way for like 30. Yeah, the only thing is that like sometimes the uppers really take a beating on the road shoes, I feel like. They just really don't like getting dirty. And especially if I'm running through a lot of brush, then I just feel like the road shoes just look really like ratty right away. And I guess it's just cosmetic, whatever. But that's just something that I've noticed a little bit. Fred Nova says, I know it's probably a requirement, but whenever I've tried trail running shoes, the midsole feel like they're made out of wood planks. See, I feel like with that, I think when people are designing trail shoes, they're like they have a certain level of terrain in mind. And so like if it's going to be soft, you don't want also a soft shoe. Right? If it's going to be unbalanced, you don't want a unstable shoe. You want something that's very sure-footed, like a goat hoof. You know what I mean? And so, like that's how I see the shoe. And so that's why a lot of times these gravel shoe, like trail shoes, don't work on roads, and you need gravel shoes because the trail shoes are built with soft terrain in mind. And then when you run on like hard surfaces like tarmac, concrete, it's just like these are like clogs, you know. Johnny Dodgen says Peg Trail felt like the OG gravel shoe. Peg Trail was like all the trail shoe I ever really needed for most of the stuff that I've ever encountered. I love the Peg Trail. You know, I think my favorite trail shoe, maybe not my favorite, but one that I have a sentimental value attachment to, is one that I spent a lot of time running in Arizona mountains. Or hills. Is the Terra Kiger 4. That shoe was a lot of fun. Jody Beck says, "Are you going to size up for a 100K?" I have thought about it. I've thought about like placing a drop bag at not the halfway point, but a little bit more than. Well, there's a drop bag zone somewhere around kind of the middle-ish in the race, and I was thinking about putting poles in there and quiver and poles, and then different shoes. Another part of me is like, I don't know, do I really need shoes? But I'm like, I've also never run more than 8 hours before. So I'm going to be in uncharted territory. So maybe I'll just bring shoes and leave them in the bag and see if I want, I don't know. All right. Did we get through all the shoes already? I think this is the last one that I need to talk about today. This one I got from Brooks. I was in the booth because I saw my friend Johannes, runner's nerd. I was like, dude, what are you doing here? And he's like, I came here with Brooks. That's my Northern European accent. And it was good to see him, and we were chatting for a while. And then one of my contacts at Brooks was like, dude, you told me you weren't coming. And I was like, yes, I know. I said I was not coming, but I ended up coming. She's like, I don't have shoes for you. I'm like, that's totally okay. I'm not here to pick up shoes. And she's like, wait a minute. You're a size 9 though, right? And then she got me this shoe. So this is the Brooks Glycerin Flex. So it looks like the glycerin is getting forked. There are many kinds of glycerin now coming out. So this one. I think that when Brooks uses knit, it is always very pretty, but it is never as soft as knit looks, like as knit can be, So I don't want to get my hopes up too much about how comfortable this upper might be. But this pull tab on the back feels really nice. The collar above the bumper pad up here, or I guess what's this? What are we calling this part? The part that's above the heel collar. Anyway, looks really nice. The tongue is kind of weird. It's a little bit offset, not a ton offset. I can't tell if this is supposed to be centered or a little bit off center. But not too much padding in the tongue. So like for a glycerin, this is not a lot of padding and not a ton of structure in the back, a little bit. But I guess the thing is that it's supposed to flex right around here. And that is something that I saw a lot of brands working on. These kind of like pod-like features. Oh, you know what? I do not like this. I hate it when stuff like this happens. See that? Where the rubber goes over the ridge right here. We see that in like float zig. Anyway, but On had a shoe with no clouds. On has a shoe with no clouds coming, guys. And I was like, when they told me that, I'm like, wait, so double confirm for me. This shoe is not going to have clouds in it. And they're like, yeah, no clouds. I'm like, finally. I've been saying this for like 5 years, guys. There's nothing in the On universe that requires an On shoe to have clouds. You just have been putting them in there. You can just not have a cloud. And they're like, I know. And this one's going to be really comfortable. And I'm like, I know. But it's using a similar concept. This kind of like intercalated design where it's like these little pods that are very bendy, very flexible. Yeah. And so it looks like they're using the dual density supercritical foam, like of the Glizzy Max. It's the DNA tuned. So I'm very excited to try this. I have a feeling though that like it's going to feel like a glycerin because it is a glycerin. So I'm not going to get too excited until I try it on. But when I saw this, the first thing that I instantly thought of, and when I saw the On shoe, I was like, Guy Solomon made this like 6 years ago. The Predict RA, like same concept, pads, super flexible, bendy shoe. Now, granted, they're using different foams, so I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt. But like the Solomon Predict RA it was the same exact idea. And then Float Zig from Reebok. We've seen this before, but maybe the foam was the missing piece of that good idea. Then maybe they'll actually deliver this time. But it is a big shoe. It is a glycerin. Okay. Oh, interesting. Let's get the sheet back up. We got Brooks Glycerin. What is this called? Glycerin Flex. Not a number, though. It's not like Glycerin 21 Flex. It's just Glycerin Flex. Right? Am I right on that? Switch over to ounces. Okay. 266 grams and 9.4 ounces. So not bad at all. Not bad at all. Martha says it does not. It does not feel like a glycerin. According to the one person I knew who got a very early pair, let us know when you've tried it. Oh, maybe I'll try it today. Because actually, I feel like depending on whatever the trail or whatever the road, the bike path gives me today, this with its big grooves in here could actually probably do pretty well if it's a little snowy or if the roads are clear. So maybe I'll try that out. I don't think there's a embargo on this, is there? Yeah, I don't think so. But yeah, so that's what this shoe is. Mark wants to know, speaking of Tunnel Marathon, do we think they're going to suffer from the Boston penalty? Will fewer people sign up? They can't really adjust the course to be under the threshold. I think they probably could, depending on how far out the flat part. So like Tunnel Marathon is like flat for the first mile and change as you go through the tunnel. Then it's a downhill for like 2,000 feet. It's super fun. And then it flattens out at like mile 24 as you go through like a park, and then it ends on like, so there's a little bit of sidewalk that you're like pavement that you're concrete that you're running on, if I remember correctly. And then it ended on like a dirt road. And there's more room on that dirt road. So I guess then you also would lose the 1 mile of the tunnel. So I guess maybe you could run more in the beginning. I don't know. You could probably tweak it, but most likely not. Because then you'd be running around a parking lot and it's all weird. But I think that people are probably going to be like, even with the 5-minute penalty or however much the penalty is, you could still BQ here. And if you live in Seattle, that's probably your best bet at a BQ course, even with the however much time the penalty is. How is that going to factor in when they talk about cutoffs too? So let's say my BQ time is 3:15 right now, right? Is it 3:15? Let's say it's 3:15. And I run a course, and let's, for simple math, say like tunnel marathon, let's say there's a 5-minute penalty. So I'd really have to run a 3:10. If I run a 3:05, does that count as 10-minute buffer or 5-minute buffer? I'm not sure how that would work. I'm sure it's 5-minute buffer. Anyway, I'm sure they figured that out. But there's that dude that's been making he takes the results of every major race and compiles it and figures out how many people have BQ'd. I don't know how he does it all. He's a numbers guy, but he's been saying that he predicts that the even with the time penalties, like the ratio of people that are, there's like still an inordinately high number of people that are BQing at these downhill races. So he thinks that they're still going to be just as popular, even with the penalty. Now, if they adjust the penalty to make it even steeper, pun unintended there, then that might tweak things. But I think with the way that the penalties are now, he says that guy, I think in Running with Rock is his guy. Yeah. Okay. So it's 5-minute buffer. Yeah. Okay. Running with Rock says that people are still gonna probably go to those races. Yeah. Brian Rock. He was off by a minute with last year's cutoff prediction. That's kind of a lot for as much data as he's been crunching. It's kind of a lot. Who knows? And Martha says, I think the really steep ones like Rel will have a 10-minute penalty. I don't know. I feel like at a certain point, the downhill is not as usable. That's why I like tunnels so much. I felt like every downhill foot was usable. And I don't feel like I was braking. It was just enough to make the running easier, you know? But I don't know. Yeah, Martha says, yeah, tunnel and mountains to beach have such a moderate decline. It's still probably worth it to good downhillers to attempt a BQ there. Yeah, and Martha says it's the Goldilocks decline, in my opinion. I 100% agree with that. It's a perfect decline. All right, let's do one last thing with the data. Let's just sort it to see where some of these shoes sit next to other shoes for funsies. Okay. We got the grams data sort sheet. Okay. So the lightest shoe that we looked at today was the tie for the Evo SL ATR and the Ilios 2. Same weight as the Phantom 4, which I still haven't tested, and the Deviate Nitro 3, the Marathon series. Have you guys seen the Deviate Nitro Elite 4, which is not the same thing as the Nitro? But the Nitro Elite 4, the Hyrox version, is that? I guess I should ask. I guess I should ask. But if anyone's gonna know, it's you guys. Is that Hyrox version an actual modified shoe for Hyrox, or is it just a Hyrox upper? I think it's just a Hyrox upper, right? I don't know. All right. Next shoe I want to look at, Glycerin Flex, is the same weight as a Mach X3. This big honker of a shoe is the same weight as a Mach X3. I had a meeting because of the way that I did TRE. A PR person for Hoka was like, "Can we chat online, like a Zoom call?" And I was like, "Sure." And so it was me, a PR person, and then a Hoka person. And I was like, "Can you guys tell me what does X mean at Hoka?" And then the Hoka person, the product person, who I think was there to be like, "Oh no, this is like a 36 millimeter stack height shoe, or this is super critical EVA." Like I think that's what's their job. I don't think they were like in charge of vision. They weren't ready for the question. But I was like, "What does X mean at Hoka? What are you guys doing with the Skyflow?" I like the questions like that. How do you guys approach stability in your neutral shoes? Seems like you're putting more and more of it in there. And they were like, "We should probably have so and so on the call next time. Let's do this more regularly." I'm like, "Sure, I'd love it." But yeah. But I got a preview of the Cielo X1 3.0, which is they did. I don't know if I'm allowed to tell you this, but they did confirm that that's and I guess it wasn't a secret. But like this is, but I guess it might have been. Maybe we thought it was a Rocket X prototype. But that's what Alex Massai wore in Chicago. It was a Cielo X 3.0. But I'd always thought of this, which is another question like I want to ask them. I thought like Cielo X1 is one kind of runner's shoe, and then the Rocket X was another kind of runner's shoe. But at least next year, they're going to verticalize them. Instead of make them parallels, like a Metaspeed Edge and a Metaspeed Sky, one is going to go above the other. And the Cielo X1 is going to be their top sheer shoe, and then the Rocket X, whatever version they're on, is supposed to be the more accessible race day shoe, which happens to be for most sizes, except for like size 8 and under. If you're over a size 8, it's an illegal high shoe. So yeah. Frank wants to know, the Hyrox foam version has to have a firmer foam, doesn't it? That's what I would think. And Mike says the foam is stiffer, different tread on Hyrox. Okay, that makes sense to me. I guess I should I guess I should still reach out to confirm, but that's what I would think. Because I'm like, if you're doing all those jumping movements, you're not gonna want like a fast R3, Yeah. Okay. Daniel Australia wants to know who's in charge of the naming conventions. It's not me, that's for sure. You should put me in charge. Daniel Australia says, but wouldn't the Cielo X1 3.0 and the Rocket X, I guess 4 are they on, be designed for two different runners? Yes, but not like one's for heel strikers, one for midfoot strikers. Like, I think they're trying to position them more like Evo and then Adios Pro. That's the impression that I was left with. So it's not like Alpha Fly, Vaporfly, Metaspeed Edge, Metaspeed Sky. It's more like Adios Pro Evo, Adios Pro, and then Cielo X1 3.0 and Rocket X. Frank says, "Are you 5 minutes late for the replay?" I might be, but I'm not planning on going today. I don't think I have anything to add. I felt like it was a me heavy episode last time, so I feel like I need to take a break. But yeah, but I do need to get going because I gotta figure out what I'm gonna run in today, and I gotta get a run in before the kids get home. So wish me luck. It's gonna be cold out there. Thursday we'll do another live stream, guys, and then we're gonna get close to wrapping it up for the year, I guess. Unless we'll do some live streams. Maybe we'll do some live streams from Iowa, but we got the holidays coming up, so we're getting close. All right. See you guys later. Thanks. Bye.